Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are going to talk about something today that can potentially change your life for the better. And it's something that you probably know you should be doing, but you can't come to grips with doing it. You're trying to make it make sense, or maybe you're not having it, but you really should consider what we're going to talk about today. And it's the F word, and I'm talking about forgiveness. And it makes such a big difference in your life. It's been scientifically proven that practicing forgiveness can really make that benefit in your life. And she's going to tell us all about that. She is a spiritual and recovery coach, a Reiki master, and lots more. Debbie Peters on the program again from pathwaysforwellness.com. Debbie, welcome back. How are you?
Hi, great, Steve. Thank you so much for having me again.
Oh, it's so great to have you back here. And I know you like to begin with an injection, shall we say, of positivity. So before we even begin here, because you're all about spirituality as well, let's practice some positivity. How can we do that?
Okay. So everyone, well, I shouldn't say everyone. People in the world understand that, we have crazy lives. We're working one, if not multiple jobs. We may have families. We may have financial issues. There's so many things that people are dealing with. So I feel it's important to, take a minute or two to center yourself, to just ground yourself, and and just be. So what I'd like to do is start off by just having, anybody that's watching, if you can, get into a safe space and in a comfortable seated position. If for some reason you can't, that's fine. I know depending on certain individuals that may have a medical condition, certain things may be difficult. So it's for, do your best. And there's no right or wrong way how to practice this. So you can have your eyes open. You can have your eyes closed. Just get comfortable. Just start to feel your body. Just start feeling it to relax. And then start to focus on your breathing. Just gently inhaling, exhaling. And the next time you inhale, you can count to 3. And I want you to inhale all things positive, all things joyful, all things you are grateful for, that you are blessed for, anything that brings you some calmness and inner peace. And then hold it for 3 seconds. And then as you exhale, just breathe out all that negativity, anything that doesn't serve you, toxic relationships, anything that happened during the day that got you upset, just breathe it out. And some people want to, if you want to make a sound and just go, breathe it out. You can even take your hands and just wash all that negativity away. So just again, inhale and inhale everything joyful, positive. Hold it for 3 seconds and then exhale just all the negativity. And feel your body starting to relax. Relax your shoulders, the muscles in your face, and just your entire body. And then bring yourself back to center. And just take a moment. And next time, if you get stressed, again, if you can only do it one time, you just stop for a minute. You just breathe in everything positive. Be aware of your breathing, and then just exhale anything that doesn't serve you. So,
love that. And I've heard breathing techniques before, but I don't ever recall hearing breathing in the positivity and breathing out the negativity, which I love that. I think that's great. That's what we want to do. It's almost like we're saging our insides by doing that, getting rid of that.
And I think it's important too, because it helps you become more centered. It's centered. It's focusing on. So if you're distracted and say you bumped into a coworker or you had words with someone, it distracts your mind. So you're thinking of all the positive things, you're just breathing, relaxing yourself, and then you're just letting go of all that negativity. Because if you walk around with all that pent up, it's only hurting yourself. It's
Mm-hmm.
only, bringing you turmoil. Um, so, and again, because a lot of people, when we talk about meditation, they think that they have to quiet their minds and, how can I meditate? But just practicing a minute of even mindfulness is just, it's relaxing and it's good for, it's good for our bodies.
It's almost as if you're going down the train of life, and then during the day you got a little derailed with the negativity. This gets you back on the rails again and then moves you forward. So very powerful. And while we're in that territory, something else that can bring you challenges is forgiving somebody. If you don't, you're going to have trouble moving forward with life. And that's what we're going to center on for a moment here today. I've read, it's been proven that if you forgive somebody, and I'm not saying you condone what somebody may have done,
Exactly.
you are just forgiving them and wishing them well in many regards. There's many different ways to do it, or even forgiving yourself. So what are your thoughts on that, Debbie? The best way to forgive, and I'm not saying forget, but just forgive.
Right. Well, that's one of the main things. So the one of the foundations for healing is to learn how to forgive. I will, just make a note though. Sometimes there are people who may have suffered trauma in their life. So
Mm.
forgiveness may be, difficult for them because it's, how can I explain it? Just this, the same thing with meditation. Certain people with medical, or mental health issues, that might be very difficult for them to do. Or if there's,
Mm.
if there's a fear or if there's something. So that's why I always say, just do what makes you feel comfortable without putting yourself in any, danger or risk of making whatever it is you're coping with, you know, worse. So yeah, so forgiveness is, a foundation. You did hit upon it as far as forgiving yourself and forgiving others. One of the things, so let me just ask you, what is what do you think the meaning of forgiveness is to you?
Let me find the words to describe. Releasing, releasing
Okay.
something somebody may have done you wrong, and and taking back your power. Because if you don't release it and you're angry at them for, let's say, something they did, and it just sits within you all the time, and it keeps coming up and festers within you, you're allowing them to do it. They've already moved on. They don't even care anymore. They're not even thinking about you or it, but it's still within you. And now you're giving them your power. So the only way to, as I understand it, to let that happen is wish them well, move on, and forgive. I've even done hypnotherapy for forgiveness. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, hypnotherapy can be very powerful and definitely healing and like freeing.
Yeah.
Um
Just a
yeah, because
different
for
way, but that's not to say that we can't do it now, you know?
right. And it does take work. All these things in order to heal uh spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, all this does not happen overnight. People have to be patient with, with
Mm.
their self, and it takes time. And I could baby steps, if you do one little thing to help yourself, that's huge.
Sure.
Because what may be some, how can I explain it, when something may be huge to someone and it may be minute to someone else, or it could be minute for someone else and be, you know um a mountain for another individual.
But
But
to
yeah,
your
it's about
point, but I have a phrase in life. one of many. Everything is work. It is. Just face it. You, even if you're making plans this weekend to hang out with some friends and you got to coordinate everybody, and what are you doing? Make sure the time here, be here. It's work. It's fun work, but it's work. Even as I've learned, even in meditation or anything metaphysical, the breathing that we just talked about, that's called breath work because you have to work at it to become proficient and be able to do it well. There's work involved in everything, right?
Right. Yeah. And forgiveness is also, it's letting go of that anger and the resentments. And you can still be hurt. You can still feel hurt and still forgive someone. And forgiving, one of the things it's not is you don't have to verbally say to someone, I forgive you. It's something inside. It's an emotional change that you go through. And it's hard. And sometimes things are harder to explain, when you until you start working on it. And then you get those little aha moments because, again, like we said, it's work. It's not something that you're going to talk about once and be like, oh, okay, and if that happens for anybody,
Terrific.
I'm happy for them. But you can still feel hurt and still, forgive someone.
What's
I'm
the
just trying to.
process? What's the process for forgiveness? What do we do? The different steps that we need to do. And let's come up with something hypothetical so it's easier for us to get our arms around it. Let's say somebody did something. Let's say, in a relationship, somebody cheated. I don't know, pick anything. And now you have to release it and move it forward. How do you do that?
Well, first of all, recognize, again, you have to take care of yourself. So forgiving yourself first, I think is really, important. Knowing, that yes, this other person did you wrong. So one of the things when you said that comes to my mind is because I've had to forgive a family member, and it took me, I will say, years, because it was a very close,
Mm,
family member. And through talking to other people, reading, like you said, hypnotherapy, I had that aha moment. I couldn't really explain how I got to that stage, but I know that if you hold all those resentments and that anger in, you're only inflicting self-harm on yourself. So I think one of the steps is learning how to just let go. And maybe the other individual, again, every situation is different. When you're talking about trauma,
mm.
um which I can, I've had personal experiences as well, but that takes a while. And it's okay if you can't completely let it go. That's my opinion. So someone else might tell you, oh, you know you have to, it's got to be gone in order for you to be healed. But everybody is unique, and everybody handles things at their own pace. So, you know I think that's like the
Mm.
biggest step. um
What
and
about this?
talking.
Somebody told me that if you're going to forgive, that you should wish them love and light or something similar to that,
Yeah.
because you're thanking them. Thank you. Thank you for making me realize something, that maybe this wasn't the right relationship and better things to come. Or maybe I learned something from this, whatever it may be. You need to thank them. You need to show, not easy, but some kind of gratitude for them for the lesson learned. Because I believe, and lots of others, maybe you, that there's a lesson there somewhere. You got to look at the positive little nuggets that come from a situation.
And we're not always sure where that other person came from and what they were dealing with. And again, this is nothing
Mm,
about condoning
right.
their behavior. it's about forgiving. And like you were saying, that's all within. You don't have to verbally say that to someone. It's an emotional change that happens within yourself. And that's where it could take time. But when you recognize it and you
Mm.
start working on it, it does it's almost like a freeing. Again, speaking from personal experience, like it was just like one of those aha, like wow.
Yep.
And then when something else, if something else comes along, or even if someone says something or does something similar, it doesn't affect you as much. You can almost you acknowledge it. It's like it's there, and then you can let it go. Again, very hard, and especially depending on who you have to forgive.
I think the
And
aha moment too is also when you have to confront, or if you do deal with this person, that you have that moment where it's like, oh, I can freely text them and it doesn't bother me anymore. I can converse with them. I don't feel anything. I'm good with it. All right. Yeah. I'm going to be nice. It's almost
right,
like
because you're
kill them with kindness.
well, and you're like you said, you're taking your power back. So real quick, well, because this is kind of also on the same line as like forgiving somebody, is then setting up your boundaries, setting up healthy boundaries. That just because you set a boundary does not mean that you care or don't love the other individual. The boundary is to help you take care of yourself. And taking, that's the most important thing, because if you don't take care of yourself, who else is going to? And especially if someone is dealing with their own issues, you know, it just makes it more difficult. So it's just important to set healthy boundaries and know that it's okay. And doesn't mean, say, an example, you have a loved one, and maybe you weren't getting along recently, and they called you, and you might have had a bad day, and you just know that if you pick up that phone, there's going to be tension, there's going to be toxicity. They're not going to be listening to you, you may not be listening to them, and you get nowhere. So like a healthy boundary would be saying, okay, you know what, this is not the right time to pick up the phone, and it's okay, you know to not pick up the phone. Again, of course, if there's an emergency, but you
Yeah.
know what
Right.
I'm you know what
Sure.
I'm saying. And then, should you make that decision later on, to be in that frame of mind if you want to call back. And again, though, say, if there's something negative, or if this phone conversation is not productive, we're gonna have to end it. That's all. You're not yelling at the person, you're not telling to go, what, themselves. Or it's like, it's okay to say, if this isn't going well, we can't continue talking right now, or what have you. So, and that's
Well,
hard. That's,
yeah. It
again,
is.
it's it takes
But
work.
but look on the what we're saying here on the other side of it. Once you get to that point where you can deal with this person and they don't affect you anymore, it's like, whoa, liberation. Ha, finally. How about forgiving yourself? Any thoughts on that?
Ah, I mean, because I've had to forgive myself, in order to move on. And I still, depending on what it is, sometimes I struggle. I can't say I'm 100% forgiven myself, because we're human,
Hmm.
but I recognize, and I'll say to myself in a situation, you know what, you're being too hard on yourself. And do you like this uncomfortable feeling? And sometimes I can be like, I don't care. I'm not having a good day. If I don't want to feel good, I'm not going to feel good. But for the most part, I will stop and think about it and say, you know what, this is not doing me any good. So I have to just be kinder to myself and more gentle and forgive myself. And again, it's okay. We've all had some sort of problem or issue or something in our lives that have warranted the need to forgive.
I want to touch upon real quick with the time that we have left that,
Yep.
Along with being a Reiki master, you're a spiritual and recovery coach, recovery from addiction, mostly,
Yes.
mainly. Okay. The spirituality part, in terms of coaching somebody there, and we might have skimmed over this in previous podcasts, but when we talk about the spirituality, we're not really necessarily talking about religion. It's
Correct.
and I'm bringing this up because I think the spiritual thing does have a loose connection to the forgiveness. If you have a certain mindset, it might make the forgiveness thing a little bit easier.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And again, nothing to do with religion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, has to do, with finding your higher power, being able to, you know, it could be some people may not agree with me, but
Mm-hmm.
from, reading and classes and things that I've taken, it could be it could be religious for some individuals. It could be the universe. It could be taking your problems and
Yep.
saying, look, I can't handle this anymore. Please help me. Please, you and turn it over to the universe, turn it over to your higher power, turn it over to whatever it is. But if you don't have a higher power and struggle with spirituality, and that's one of the things as a spirituality and recovery coach that I work with people to help them and guide them,
Mm.
um, to find some sort of spirituality that can help that can help support them.
When we say spirituality, would you also say that it's faith? And I don't mean religion. I mean faith in yourself and also faith in something like the universe. Like in your example, Debbie, where we say, let's just throw it to the universe and see what happens. Well, in doing that, you have faith that it's going to support and take care of you. And you have faith in yourself that, yeah, all right, things can get a little rocky. I got this. Yeah, it's good. And sometimes it takes you time to get to that point where you don't freak out over mostly everything. Um,
Right.
how do you find that faith?
Oh boy. That's a really good question. I think,
Practice?
if
It just
someone lacks faith, there's work that needs to be done.
Hmm.
And it's talking about it and finding out from an individual, what does faith mean to you? Because what faith means to me, to you, Steve, could
Hmm.
mean something totally different
Yep.
to someone else.
Yep.
um so it's working on it, I think, individually, and find, because maybe someone does have faith and they never realized it, they thought it was something different.
Fair enough.
um
Fair enough. We might call it something else, or you might have a feeling and you're not using the word faith on it. It could even be um, some people have a confidence in themselves. Well, technically they have, I guess,
they
faith
have
in
faith in
themselves.
themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Same thing. It was like, it'll all work out. Well, to me, that's having faith in the universe that all the pieces are going to come together. And then that's whatever you believe in. Things happen for a reason. Some believe. I do too. I don't think it just happens by chance. Two people connect for a reason. Um, but there's having faith in something, faith in the process, whatever the process is.
And along with that, I highly, I tell people, and I highly believe in, like, never giving up hope. there's there's there's
Well, yeah.
always there's
Mhm.
always hope. And if someone feels hopeless, I encourage them to reach out to someone, um because it's so important. If you don't give up hope, and you learn to have faith, hey, a lot of things too that we worry about, they don't they don't always come true.
Oh my gosh, look
You
at the
know, it,
research. They do this study like every couple of years, and it's always the same. 90 something percent of the things that we worry about never even take place. Complete waste of time and energy.
yep.
Right?
And that's why it's important to bring yourself, to center yourself, to ground yourself,
Hmm.
and just take those little baby steps. Also too, as a recovery coach, one of the most important things too is the individual is in the driver's seat, because recovery, what it looks like for one person may be different for someone else. So that's where everyone's situation is unique,
Hmm.
and it's not clinical. I worked on the I worked on the clinical side. I loved what I did. But realized too that, being told certain things, you know, if someone said to you, you have to go to AA might not be for everybody. And I'm not knocking, I'm speaking, coming from a place to be able to support people to know that there is hope,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
there are avenues out there to help you in your recovery.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, oh, I'm not getting involved with this, I don't want a diagnosis, or what have you. um that's on an individual basis, because i, I worked for, outpatient facilities that they were awesome. I can't, they were just amazing. um but then on the other side, there are people, once they finish the program there, where do they go? And then they feel like there's no hope, because there more and more, there are resources out there, because they're recognizing that there is a need for this. That could be another discussion,
Sure.
another time, but you know
Well,
don't don't
what I'm gathering from you here, Debbie, is one size does not fit all. And yes, certain recovery programs are fantastic, but they might not support everybody with all the tools that they need. And maybe they need spirituality. Maybe they do need a coach to help them move forward with that. And that's some of the things that you offer. Your website, by the way, pathwaysforwellness.com, right?
Yes.
And along with everything, you also, we didn't hit upon it today, but Reiki, energy healing, which all of this stuff you can do virtually anywhere in the country, world, even for that matter, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
And again, it all, you know, the energy, someone feels stuck. Could be when you were saying before about sending someone love and light. If you have to unblock your heart, you forgive yourself, and then you learn how to forgive others. And like you said, you could thank them, but you don't have to thank them verbally,
Nope.
but just saying, this is what I learned. I learned that I will never, I'll never make this decision, or I see how it hurts other people. So I'm going to change my behaviors, or, maybe the way I speak, because I see how it affected me. It's just there's so much involved with it, but it's important.
But it works. That's it. All of this stuff works. Otherwise, people wouldn't still be practicing it year after year. And there's research connected to it. Um, Thank you for today. Thank you for I don't even know the breathing technique. I don't know what we call it, meditation at the beginning.
Yeah, I call it mindfulness meditation,
Sure.
breath work. What That's the other thing. There's no right or wrong way. So whatever you want to call it that
Yep.
makes you feel better. If you want to call it breath work, call it breath work. If you want to call it a centering exercise or a grounding exercise, it's whatever feels good to you.
I just saged my insides. That's what I'm calling it. Because that's what, you sage a room for positivity and negativity. I feel that we did that. Pathwaysforwellness.com. Debbie, always great talking with you. And you're available free consult if anybody has questions.
Yes. If you go on my website, there's a link. There's a free 15-minute discovery session.
Awesome. Great talking with you. And I look forward next time we get a chance to get together.
Great. See you in 2 weeks. Have a great week.
You too, Deb. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.